The human brain evolved as an active processor. Its biological architecture is designed to synthesize complex ideas, analyze environments, and execute decisions. It was never designed to operate as a static hard drive for storing arbitrary information. Modern knowledge work places an unsustainable load on this biological hardware. Professionals routinely attempt to hold thousands of uncompleted tasks, emails, and commitments in their active memory simultaneously. Productivity consultant David Allen spent 30 years in executive coaching, isolating this exact cognitive failure point. His core axiom identifies the root of the problem. The mind is built for having ideas, not holding them. Relying on biological memory to track modern responsibilities creates a bottleneck in cognitive throughput. The system reaches its limit, leading to persistent stress and a measurable reduction in performance. Uncompleted tasks do not just sit dormant. They act like open background programs on a computer, actively draining processing power even when you aren't working on them. The brain is hardwired to continuously generate internal notifications about these unresolved tasks until they are finished or explicitly offloaded. Getting things done, or GTD, functions as an external cognitive architecture. It is designed to safely hold data so the biological processor doesn't have to. This relies on a 5-stage deterministic algorithm: capture, clarify, organize, review, and engage. Martial artists describe an optimal state of readiness as mind like water, a state of zero cognitive friction. Achieving this state requires migrating internal data into a trusted external decision engine. This flowchart illustrates the GTD architecture. The entire system begins at a single point of ingestion, the universal inbox. Every internal notification, regardless of its importance, requires immediate externalization. This phase requires a rigid zero-filtering rule. You do not judge, clarify, or organize the incoming data as it arrives. Capturing a terrible idea is just as necessary as capturing a brilliant one. Writing it down physically ejects it from working memory, clearing the space required for viable thoughts. Ingestion must be agnostic. It can happen via digital widgets on a desktop, voice dictation while driving, or a physical notepad kept in the shower. The tool is secondary to the speed of offloading data from the biological processor to the external one. The capture phase does not organize your life. Its objective is the immediate cessation of the psychic stress caused by holding on to unstructured thoughts. The clarify stage empties the inbox by forcing items through a decision tree, starting with, is it actionable? If not, it's either deleted, filed as reference, or delayed to someday maybe. Actionable items advance to a rigid constraint, the 2-minute rule. If an actionable task requires fewer than 120 seconds to execute, it must be completed immediately. It bypasses the rest of the system entirely. Tasks taking over 2 minutes undergo action-outcome bifurcation. The vague thought fix filing system can't be executed. It's algorithmically split into an ultimate outcome, like filing system revamp, and a next physical action, starting with a verb, like talk to Angela. The anxiety associated with knowledge work often stems from failing to separate abstract project outcomes from the literal physical actions required to advance them. Once items survive the decision engine, the organize phase routes them to their final storage locations. Ultimate outcomes that require multiple steps to complete are housed in a dedicated projects list. The specific verb-driven steps isolated during the clarify stage populate the next actions list. Assigning arbitrary calendar due dates to these actions creates a brittle system. Dates must be reserved exclusively for hard, time-inflexible commitments. Instead of chronological scheduling, this demonstrates context tagging. Tasks are categorized by required tools, locations, and personnel. Context tagging filters irrelevant data. Without an internet connection, looking at web-dependent tasks is a poor use of cognitive resources. Tasks bottlenecked by external personnel are explicitly isolated into waiting for and agendas lists. Routing tasks by context rather than timeline eliminates the fatigue of constantly recalculating what can actually be accomplished in your current environment. External architectures have a primary vulnerability: entropy. The moment a user stops trusting the system's accuracy, the biological brain reclaims the data, reinstating the cognitive bottleneck. Phase 4 introduces the weekly review. This maintenance block scrubs dead tasks, promotes next actions, and recalibrates the system's integrity. This chart models the altitudinal review, a mechanism to ensure that ground-level physical actions align with macro objectives. The 1,000-foot view audits tasks to verify they actively serve defined one-year goals. Stepping up to the 10,000-foot view verifies that those one-year goals serve a broader 3 to 5-year vision. Phase 5 is engage. Because the logistics are already resolved, execution becomes the most straightforward part of the process. Entering a new environment triggers a simple protocol. The user opens the corresponding context list and executes the predefined next action. This converts chaotic professional environments into deterministic workflows, eliminating the paralysis of deciding what to do next. Absolute focus on execution is possible only when you possess absolute trust that your external system has already solved the logistics of prioritization. This diagram illustrates how the GTD architecture functions as a continuous feedback loop, essential for maintaining a cognitive baseline. This continuous maintenance loop is defined as the CPR protocol: capture, process, review. Standard productivity systems often fail because they attempt to organize raw, ambiguous stuff. The GTD algorithm works because it prevents stuff from entering the execution phase. It mandates the strict conversion of raw data into specific outcomes and actionable verbs. The martial arts concept of mind like water defines a reactive state perfectly calibrated to the size of an impact, free from the residual ripples of past anxieties. This frictionless state is not achieved by working harder. It is achieved by ruthlessly protecting the biological brain's processing power. By externalizing memory into a deterministic pipeline, knowledge workers prevent cognitive overload. This keeps the mind available for the creative and analytical work it was designed to do.